Recently, Sony unveiled the Sony ZV-1 content creator camera. And while it's a great camera, there are a couple reasons why I don't think it is what I would call a content creator camera. A camera made for vloggers, YouTubers, streamers, all that sort of things. There's one main issue with it, and then there's a couple little things that don't really matter, but they add on to make it less of a great experience. So my biggest issue with it is the sensor and lens combination. It is just a tiny 1-inch sensor. It's smaller than an APS-C sensor. It's a tiny 1-inch sensor with a 24-70 f1.8 to 2.2 I think zoom lens. While it's a great lens, it's a fantastic lens, it's a sharp lens, it's a good lens, it's a nice lens, it is nowhere near wide enough on the wide end, and I don't think you need that sort of telephoto, especially on a 1-inch sensor at 70mm. I would have much rather saw something like a 10 to 50mm on an APS-C sensor. I think that would be awesome, because Sony's APS-C sensor is a 1.5 times crop factor, which means 10mm would be 15mm, and a lot of the big YouTube vloggers like Peter McKinnon and Mattia Poya, they use a 15mm lens on a full frame sensor, so it's 15mm and that's the end of it, in their vlogs. When the camera's an arm's length away from you, that 15mm field of view, it's not wide enough to cause bowing and distortion, but it's a nice wide angle that captures a lot of your surroundings. Now if you have 24mm on a 1-inch sensor, that would be like super tight. Like when you've got that camera an arm's length away from you, it would just be like a floating head, especially when you turn on the stabilization, which you want to turn on the advanced or enhanced stabilization, which puts another crop on top of your existing crop because of the 1-inch sensor. So now it's literally just your head in the frame, an arm's length away from you, and I don't think we want that. A vlogger does not want their head to take up the whole screen. A vlogger wants to compose the image with their surroundings, not have their head on screen. While your head is important, I don't doubt your head's important, like your head is important, trust me on that. You don't want your head taking up all the space. Pretty sure about that. So that is my biggest issue with it. If it would be a 10 to 50mm on an APS-C would be closer to like what, a 60-70mm. I don't know, I'll do the math later. I'll show it here. That would give you that nice telephoto range for cinematic B-roll and all that, and your 10mm would be wide enough for your average arm's length away vlogging. That is my biggest issue. So I want APS-C with a 10 to 50, that would have been sweet. A 1-inch sensor with a 24-70 is not the right combination of sensor and lens for a vlogger's camera. Next up, USB-C. There is no USB-C, it's micro USB, and a vlogger who a lot of the times is traveling around, you're going to airports, you're going to hotels, you're taking flights, you're charging a lot of stuff, you're taking gear, you're taking equipment, you're taking your laptop, your phone, your tablet, your iPad, your iPhone, which doesn't use USB-C, but don't worry about that. You might be taking a different phone that does. You want all your cables to be the same, so you only need one cable. If your MacBook uses USB-C, if your iPad uses USB-C, if your phone uses USB-C, if your battery bank has USB-C, if all your gear has USB-C, and then your camera has USB-C, you only need one cable, you need one charger, you need one battery pack, and you're sorted. But if you've got all sorts of mix and match of USB-C, micro USB, normal USB, USB Type A or whatever you call it, and lightning, then you need a massive bunch of cables, and that's just not something you want to be worrying about when you're packing your bag for traveling. So USB-C, especially in 2020, would have been nice to see. Next up is the touchscreen. On Sony cameras and a lot of other cameras, I'm not sure about other brands like Canon or Panasonic, but I know Sony cameras, the touchscreen is quite limited. Like, I mean limited. You can use it for touch to focus, but like the menus and stuff doesn't really work. So that's my other little complaint. Now let's talk about what is good. It shoots 4K, it's got high frame rates, it can do 60 FPS, it can do 120, and then it's got things like 480, 960 frames per second. Mind you, those are going to be a lot lower quality, they're going to be extra cropped in, and they're only short bursts of like 5 seconds, but you've got anything from like 24 FPS to 60 FPS. Those are all frame rates you can use, and 60 FPS can give you like 2 times or 2.5 times slow-mo for some nice B-roll footage, and your 24 or 30 FPS for your talking and vlogging stuff. That's great. 4K and the frame rate options available, fantastic. Next, it's got built-in automatic ND filters. This is super. For a person starting out in content creation, you don't want to be worrying about what sort of ND filter you need and the thread size and how much you need to turn it and do all the math behind it and all that. It's a built-in automatic system. It matches your shutter speed, your aperture, and then it applies your neutral density, which might sound like some gibberish to you, and if it does, then don't worry, it's all automatic, which is great. This feeds into ease of use. It's all automatic. You don't need to do anything. You hit the record button and it sets all the settings and you're done. It's recording. It will give you a beautiful image. It's great. That's fantastic. If every brand could have that in their cameras for beginning like vlogger type cameras, that would be fantastic, because a lot of people, they're put off from YouTube and all this stuff because the camera's too complicated. They don't know what shutter speed, what frame rate, what ISO, what aperture, what ND to use, and then they just go what, and then they just forget about it. It's all automatic, so you can start off not knowing anything and then you can sort of learn it as you're making videos. That's great. Next up, the built-in mics. Like, that's to have built-in mics that good. The built-in microphones are fantastic. It's like a 3 capsule array that sort of tries to reject the side and concentrate the voice of yourself onto the you know what I mean. It's basically trying to pick up your voice, but you don't need a big Rode video mic with the dead cat and stuff like that on there. It's a great built-in mic, which is, again. Next up, Sony has done something really, really great. It's a flip out screen. Every camera should have a flip out screen. Like, the flip up screen, it gets in the way of stuff, and if it's not an articulating display, then you can't see anything. A flip out screen is a great design. Everything needs to have a flip out screen. Sony, good job. Then you got the small size of the camera. It is a super portable, super slim, super small camera that's packed with a lot of powerful specs. That is great. Then you've got the actual autofocus. It has amazing autofocus with head tracking, face tracking, eye tracking, all these sort of tracking. So it keeps you in focus and it keeps you exposed, and it doesn't worry about keeping everything in the background sharp or exposed. It wants you to be seen and everything else can wait. Then lastly, you've got a big record button, which might not sound very fancy, but you know, if you got the space for it, big record button, easier to, you know, find, press, that's all right. In conclusion, it's a great start. Sony's listening to us. They've made a lot of things we'd like to see, but they've got a little bit of way to go. They need to change the sensor and lens combination to hopefully something like APS-C with a 10-50 or something around that mark for a better range. They need to add in USB-C, maybe work on their touchscreen and the software integration. And also, I'm not sure about the built-in ND filters. I think I read something like it's only 3 stops of ND, so I don't know how good that will be in direct sunlight. But it's a great start. It's a great camera. It's $799, which is quite a stretch for a point and shoot, but it does a lot of things well. and it's a great starting camera if you don't mind the extreme crop factor in, you know, when you've got it an arm's length away from you. That's been it. Thank you guys for watching. Just a short little overview of this new Sony ZV-1. Don't forget, I stream on Twitch every Friday usually, link in the description down below. Head over there, hit follow. If you got any questions, chat to me when I'm live. Other than that, smash the subscribe button, ding the bell, mash the like button, knock it out, do whatever you want to do. Just do something or don't do anything. It's your life. See you next time.